Hello, Internet. Welcome. Today we're going to play with Marvin. It's a new AI engineering framework, and I just ran across it on the internet randomly a few minutes ago. And it is made by the guys who made Prefect, which is a task management, workflow management library, which should be a thing that everyone should use, basically. And we're not gonna do that today, but maybe in another video we'll also touch Prefect as well. But we're gonna actually try and understand what can we do with this Marvin library. So we're gonna open the docs, and as well as opening the docs themselves, we're gonna install it. So let's go with poetry and Marvin. Let that run in the background. And let's understand how we can actually do stuff here. So what we have here is we import an AI function, which probably means we're going to bootstrap like the OpenAI API LLM behind the scenes. And we're going to prompt it, I guess, with the docstring, which is quite nice because that means there's not a lot of boilerplate to actually get things going. So let's actually just copy paste that example directly into our um, uh, into our docs, and let's actually run the file and let's see what's going on. And it will say that we don't have pydantic.env, which should make sense because we have not installed that. So let's go with pydantic settings, and also let's add .env for good measure. And if they haven't upgraded to Pydantic 2, then, well, we're gonna fix that in a minute. Okay, so try number 2. And it says, no API key provided. You can set your API key with OpenAI API key in your environment variables. OpenAI API key. So I'm pretty sure it did that here in my .env file, which I cannot show you. We can actually maybe rg.env for OpenAI, and let's set everything that's equals dot comma with nothing. And it says that I've flipped the arguments because apparently I forgot how to use grep. Yep. So that seems like we have our OpenAI API key, which by comparison is exactly the same string. Maybe we can configure it somehow. Maybe no running event loop. Okay. So we might want to actually like consider to see how things are actually going here. API key. Like this is, by the way, like not a good start. If I have configured like my environment variables, I would assume this would just work. Let's actually go with maybe running this with poetry and python.env already installed, and .env run python main py. And it says no command python. Well, poetry run. It says no command poetry. Interesting. Poetry run .env main py. Oh, I think it's, oh, it's not a command, it's a .env run. Yep. Okay. And now it didn't crash, which means we have not consumed the response. Let's see our response here, and let's just print it out for a minute. Response. And I've been talking to the main computer. It hates me. Awesome. So Marvin works, which is quite nice. So this prompting thing just like works kind of out of the box, except for maybe injecting the environment variables correctly. So let's see how far can we take this. So we have done this. What else can we do? So we have models, classifiers, functions, applications, ambient AI. With Marvin, we're taking the first steps on a journey to deliver ambient AI, an omnipresent but unobtrusive autonomous routine that acts as persistent translation. For noise real-world data, ambient AI makes unstructured data universally accessible to traditional software. Okay, should we click that and see where this is going? Seems like far off dream at this point. Let's continue. So we've installed everything, and let's look at the quick start. Don't panic. I like this. Configuring the LLM. So we have our OpenAI key already. Apparently, if I just have clicked the quick start, we would have debugged this probably faster. Anyhow, what else do we have here? So we can also attach this model to an apparently interesting, to a pedantic model. Okay, that's cool. Like using AI to just do the generation for us by giving it apparently like an unstructured string and getting like a pedantic model out. This is like quite a nice thing. I'm quite so curious now to see like how do they actually do the prompting inside. So let's actually dive into what's going on here. So a function as decorator, and then we have our class, which is, let's see, a function, as we said. And this is the prompt. System context gets instruction if instructions. That's nice. Your job is to generate likely outputs for a Python function with the following signature. Then it does inspect get source. That's quite nice. This is actually like, I appreciate the prompt engineering that went into this one. And then we have our, first of all, like maybe they'd want to actually like do also support async definitions. I'm not sure. Let's see if that is actually a thing. And then user, the function shall be was called with the following inputs: set sig inspect get function, bind arguments, bind supply defaults. What is its output? And then that's like actually good. I like this. This is like not a bad thing. And then what else do we have here? So whenever it's called, it's actually forwarding the arguments, and then it says get logger. Oh, so this is just logging. This is not important. So we have our dispatch here, and it says self as chat completion, create to model instance. Okay, so it also supports async call. Who uses a call? Class async AI function. So this one is probably with a little bit different syntax, everything, or I'm not sure. Anyhow, seems good. Seems like a nice thing. Oh, I see. So all it does is inherit the same thing and only changes the call signature to forward to async call instead of call. But that also means that this prompt has a small delicate bug here with the async def versus diff. We could actually maybe send a patch and fix that. It's like a really small difference, and it could make a difference in the quality of what we're doing here. Not sure. Anyhow, the good thing here is that means that if everything here is async as well, it's quite easy to integrate this with modern Python software. Okay, back to the docs. So we have our models, which apparently we can just generate stuff into a class as well. Oh, actually, let's import this AI underscore model. Let's import that, and let's see how this prompt looks, because I'm now curious as well. So it looks probably the same. The user will provide you with a text that you need to parse into a structured form. Note, you must also, or instruction, okay. To validate your response, you must call the function response model name function. Use the provided text and context to extract, deduce, or infer any parameters you need. By response model name, including any missing data. You have been provided with the following context to perform your task. The current time is now. It's quite nice that they have this, which means that first of all, the function signature would not include the latency of prompting, which is a nice, careful afterthought. Anyhow, what we have here is set context to context function, items, and then it gets all the items if context. For arg value in context, it also provides that. So it's formatted in sort of YAML, which is okay-ish, I guess. The text to parse is text. Awesome. So this is, by the way, I'm okay. First of all, I'm wondering why no system prompt here. It should have been pre-formatted with system, but that's all right. And then I guess everything here would probably be kind of the same, and that's actually quite good that it's Pydantic too, because well, new upgrade, really good changes they made in the last version. And let's try to move on with the docs. So classification, AI classifier, class app route, enum. Represent distinct routes, command bar, different applications. User profiles, search, notifications, settings, help chat, update my name, user profile. Okay, cool. So this is okay. So it's probably kind of the same as an enum, but like the base model, but even more structured with only selecting pre-given values. Let's see. Given user inputs, each classifier uses a clever logit bias trick to force an LLM to deductively choose the best option. It's bulletproof, cost-effective, and lets you build classifiers as quickly as you can write your classes. Okay, so now I'm actually quite interested in seeing what goes on here. So AI, what was it? Classifier? Let's read that. Can you do constraint sampling in ChatGPT and micromanage its output? The catch, you can only get one token, but you can do a lot with one token. You can make it a classifier, a logic gate, or have it choose tools deductively. Here's how. Awesome. Okay. You can make ChatGPT a logic gate. Using tick token, you can find that it represents true as 1904 and false as. Okay, so these are just the true and false like the string true and string false tokens in the tokenizer, which is like, okay, just arbitrary tokenizer numbers. And you can use logit bias to dictate that it can only respond with 1904 or 3934. And set max tokens to 1. You guarantee that you'll always output true or false. Okay, that's actually quite nice. So apparently logit bias is a thing in the OpenAI API. I wasn't aware of that, but that's like a nice constraint sampling approach. You can make ChatGPT a classifier. Tick token tells you that your GPT represents happy or sad, and mad as blah 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 blah. If you use logit bias dictate. Okay, so these are like cool. Ask Marvin AI. Awesome. So yeah, it's from the guys that made this, but that's like a really awesome approach. I super appreciate this. So if we dive into the classification thing, so apart from probably having like a really nice prompt that we are already familiar here with the system colon leading prompt and then user input classify this thing, in the logit here we'll have here logit bias. And the only thing I'm like curious if it actually did is whether it actually pre-checks our inputs, like the enum values, and then if it's like not within like the tokenizer range, then like if it takes more than one token, then it would disqualify the token. So that's the only thing I'm curious about, that I'm not sure whether we actually have that or not. So let's try and write a really bad enum just to maybe fail this. Okay, so AI, not model, but classifier, and then class my enum, which is apparently, let's go with definitely just with the stir enum, just because it's just strings. Now, how does that work? So represent distinct routes. So let's go with represents Pokemons. And here, let's go with and special Pokemons. Okay, and so we have our Pikachu and Mewtwo, and let's go with obviously solid gold Magikarp. And this one, is it like that? How do you spell Magikarp? Magikarp. Okay, apparently, yep. So I'm not even sure which one of these is like the actual thing. Magikarp. And now let's try and invoke getting the actual results here. And let's go with Pokemon. The fishiest of all the fishiest kind. Yeah, so this is definitely like not a full token. When will it fail? Will it fail after or before our actual tokenization? And let's run this. We have not printed anything, of course. Okay, so we did select solid gold Magikarp, which I'm like confused by. Let's see what happened here. So let's see. What do we have here? Actually, tokenizer, OpenAI. Solid gold Magikarp. Yeah, so that's 5 tokens. Let's see, and if we go to okay, so gold Magikarp is like 1 token in the legacy GPT-3. That's like why I aimed for this, but solid is like still another token by itself, and there is no solid space, so that breaks up gold and Magikarp into like 3 different tokens anyway. So how did it choose that? Because I was thinking it had it only generated exactly 1 token. So let's actually try to understand what went on here. So we have our logit bias, and we generate a completion. Where's the completion thing? As chat completion. And if metadata mode logit bias. Okay, so is that like not a thing all the time? Let's see what's going on here. Where's like the max tokens? Okay, so mode logit bias. How do we know what is this? So as prompt, instructions, function, logit bias. Who decides on this one? So that's an AI enum, and it needs to go, maybe it must be like a proper enum and not stir enum. Let's maybe fix that. And it's still working, like, which means I'm actually quite impressed by that. So as decorator, and by default it is logit bias. Okay, so this is the mode, and then we have like a partial of as decorator with if not enum. Well, it is an enum, so yeah. Okay, so we return this with class as decorator. And class response set error metadata model context instructions mode. Okay, so this is like nothing special. Then it actually initializes the class, which is just the dunder init, which we don't have here because this is apparently already inheriting from some kind of enum plus enum metadata. Tick token. Encodings for model. Responses. What is this? Stir J for J in. What am I seeing here? This is a dictionary pointing to exactly. Oh, okay. So this is like the inductive bias thing. That's like the boosting this token to 100, like in weight, and everything else is probably 1 or 0 or something like that. And what we can see here is, oh, so it's only taking like the first token. So it basically just took the gold or the solid. That's actually quite impressive. That means like it has quite a good attention relation between. Okay, so if you have an enum with more than one token, it will take the first one. So not exactly ideal, but still like we can work with that, and probably just a limitation. We can also like maybe fix that by saying if it encodes this string into more than one token, you might want to issue a warning saying like, well, hey, you should probably know that this is not going to encode as you would expect it to be, like as one token, because we're doing like clever hacks with the LLM here. Okay, so that's quite cool. By the way, up until now, like I'm very impressed with this library. I might actually use it for proper projects maybe at some point. And we have here sentiment list. Interesting. So there are a lot more, like there's a good thing here happening. AI functions look like regular functions but have no source code. Instead, an AI will use their description and inputs to generate their output, making them ideal for NLP applications like sentiment analysis. So this is quite nice because that means that we can actually looks like we can have nice things, which is good. Like not actually like writing any content here and like having the doctrine being the prompt is quite a nice way to like write small pure LLM functions that only depend on their input and don't have like any running logic, and like everything else is abstracted away. AI applications. Let's see. Applications are the base class for interactive use cases. They are designed to be invoked one or more times and automatically maintain three forms of state. State, a structure, the application state, plan, high-level planning of the AI assistant to keep application on track across multiple invocations, history, a history of all LLM interactions. AI applications can be used to implement many classic LLM use cases, such as chatbots, tool using agents, developer assistants, and more. In addition, thanks to their persistent state and planning, they can implement applications that don't have traditional chat UX, such as a to-do app. Here's an example. Okay, so we have here some imports, nothing out of the ordinary. Create models to represent the state of your to-do app. Just a regular pedantic model. To-do state, another model. And AI application, it has a state of to-do state, a description, a simple do app. The user will provide instructions for creating and updating their to-do list. Response. Okay, to-do app. I need to go to the store tomorrow at 5 p.m. Print response content. Sure, I've added a new task to your to-do list. You need to go to the store tomorrow at 5 p.m. Okay, that's like a very ChatGPT thing, repeating, reprompting itself to make sure that everything is like working. By the way, this technique is called chain of thought, like originally, which is something Google did, which really significantly improved like how LLMs think, because their thought process is actually dependent on the length of their context before actually generating the next token. Like if you have not a lot of tokens, then the prompt can go quite randomly to other places. And if you like basically reprompt yourself as the LLM, then you are more narrowing down on the task that you are actually given. And the problem with that, of course, is that LLM also can really prompt themselves into a corner. And that's like how you get the AI models, like sometimes like refusing to answer you once they've failed to do so, then they will like be more prone to confusion, because in their context there is like more, I'm sorry, I'm confused, I don't know what to do. And that's like quite nice. I wonder like how good is this? So if we just paste this here into our app, and instead of waiting for the user, let's actually add a CLI on top of this, and let's see if we can actually not types, typer, import typer, and app typer, app command def main to do up ran. No, so what we want is like our prompt, which is a list of stir minimum items 1, and our actual prompt is join everything. And what's the API? Is it just call? Just invoking this. And response equals this. And we'd like to typer echo, if I recall, response. So this should be like a nice CLI that should basically work, maybe. I want to build a website. This didn't work as expected because I forgot to initialize the app. And it says default must be a list. Yep. List of stir. Okay, yeah, sure, why not? Or maybe, or none, and then none. If none, nothing. Not supported yet. Oh, right, there is like a thing in typer optional. I do wonder why typer does not support like the newer, nicer syntax of unexpected arguments. Is it not like that? Typer argument. Okay, so ... maybe the prompt to use. Okay, so let's see what we actually have here. Maybe we'd also like to echo like this is our bot, robot, and then typer echo. Where is our application state? So to do app state. And it says can only concatenate stir, not message to stir. Stir? Then let's stringify this. Probably it should be JSONified before we can actually watch this like in a good way, but typer. Oh, sorry. This is also apparently. Okay, so this doesn't look well because maybe we need to, I don't know, state enabled, true. It's quite annoying. Role assistant content, that's great. So yeah, I think we just can go with response. If this is a message, then probably content or text. Does it have text? To do app, when you call it, under call, it should return a message. It does not say that explicitly, which is kind of a bummer, but this is, let's see, what's the actual content? Yep. Okay, so response content, and then we have this here, just to be happier with whatever is displayed. And why does the app state not change? How does it look? So first of all, response.json. To do app state JSON. And indent 2. Is this actually deprecated? Probably. Because that's like new pedantic things. And it says dump squargs are no longer supported. Okay, so instead of that, we have dump JSON. And then this one does have indent equals 2. Does that return a string? Yep. Okay, so first of all, like nice formatting, but still we don't have a nice state here, which is quite sad. Our state is not updated, so what do we have here? So we have great, I've marked the task to do in go to the store as completed. How do we actually have this persistent somehow? Did it not save anything, right? Yeah, no state saved here. Okay, so the AI application, like I haven't bought that this works as expected, because we pasted the exact example and we have not gotten what we expected to have here. I might be missing like a very trivial thing, I'm not sure. Let's see if we can actually, let's see what else we can like change here. So this is a base model. Is it? Marvin base model, logger mixin. That means these are the parameters we can actually have here. So state enabled by default true. So we don't have to actually define that ourselves, which makes sense. Then if we dive into other parameters here, we have description, state, tools, history, by default, some base model, arbitrary types allowed, add message, get message. Looks quite clean. And we have additional prompts. So reform state. So that's just the state dictionary. Okay. So is it state.state though? Attributes. Yeah, it's state.state. Interesting. So what do we have in our actual state here? So when we actually try to access this one, it's a field. And the default factory, yeah, the default factory is state.state. So this one actually should probably be also .state if it actually exists, maybe. Does not have to do states. Oh, so we have defined our own state thing here. So how should it know to actually like update the actual state here? So if we initialize this one and we have our state, then we should have something like post initialization thing, validation tool. So let's actually see what's going on here with the state. So update state, app self as function, tools append, run. So it has like an input text. If model is none, Marvin LLM GPT-4. That's fair. Prompt, system prompt, which is your intelligent neural network, instructions, actions. Okay, that's a pretty chunky prompt for an application engine. Okay, nice. Then it says now the current daytime, message history. This is the previous message, and then additional prompts. Then it says input text, user input, role user, render prompts, tools, copy, append, conversation, chat completion, a chain, message list. Okay, so that's quite nice. Stream handler is a callable from message to returns none. And if it's none, then it's probably okay. That's interesting. Last message, history, add last message, debugger, KV, and returns the last message. And then when does the tool thing actually do anything? Because right now I only see tools here. Oh, so the chat completion, and that in it of itself functions. And then if we say functions here, we don't see anything. And here, if we go to functions, function call, response model. Where is this? This is actually like OpenAI code, or so this is still in Marvin land. So functions is like an implementation on their side. And let's see what they do with these functions. So response model, cast to JSON, schema, functions, serialized function, or callable for function in functions. Okay, somewhere here there's probably like a for loop, for message, for function. Yep. Okay, so this one actually like probably invokes the function, cast to JSON, and this is a function or type, cast to model, get origin. Okay, so this one is the actual. Oh, that's actually nice. I didn't know that they have get origin. That's I should use this thing like in typings more often. What is this? Like an annotated. Okay, so yeah, this introspects like aliases correctly. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Anyhow, back to our thing here. So we actually have our annotations and like a lot of, wow, that's a lot of typing work. And still here. Okay, so here we actually introspected the type. Okay, we've delved quite deeply into like seeing where the function is actually getting called, but we don't need to mind that as much. The only thing that's important here is that when we actually go and run this prompt, then our update state thing is actually a thing. And update state is a tool, apparently, which is like one of their APIs. And here what we have is a run thing that needs to run. And because it's a tool, probably like it here has like the as function. Yep. And that actually probably binds all the arguments it needs to do and then returns the actual function. Or apparently an object that emulates a function with the dunder call method, which evaluates the raw thing. And then, yeah, a lot of like Python magic, basically. So yeah, still no like good hints on why is it not like actually updating the state. Let's just drop that thing. Let's try to maybe I need to get groceries. Get groceries and still like not updating correctly. Okay, yeah, never mind that. And back to the docs. So we finished our quick start application. Let's see what else do we have here in the cookbook. So How many distinct cities are mentioned in the following text? Chicago, the Windy City, New York City, the Big Apple, San Francisco, SF, San Francisco. Okay, that's quite nice. So inferred, creating a data model, pedantic base model, a model to represent the city, creating our prompt. Expertly deduce and infer all cities with the following text. Okay, that's like quite nice. And we need to like inject our template here, which is an interesting way of thinking about things. Calling our language model. What else can we do here? Temperature, that's nice that it's still controllable somehow, like from all the API layers here. And like, I really like the architecture of this library. It is like simple and composable, which is something I really appreciate. The prompt function. So a prompt function is not a thing that we still like seen. We've seen AI function. What is a prompt function? Marvin put engineering in prompt engineering. We expose a low-level prompt function decorator that lets you write prompts as functions. This lets you build fully type-hinted prompts that other engineers can introspect, version, and test. This is the easiest way to use Azure and OpenAI as function calling API. Type hinting. Example. Marvin translates your Python code into English. We'll simply write a Python function, tell it what we expect an integer input n, that we expect an integer input n, and input that it will output integer in, okay, and that it'll output a list of string. With Marvin, we'll use a prompt function and decorate this function. When we do, this function can be cast to a payload that we can send to an LLM. So let's see. List fruits 3 color blue. So this generates, okay, this can like programmatically generate stuff with LLMs. How is it different than, oh, I see. So it's different than like the AI function because you're actually giving it proper variables instead of well, like free text input, which is also nice because up until now we've got like structured output, but we can now also have like structured inputs. And that's useful. And with Pydantic, prompt function, fruit, list of fruits. Oh, okay. So it can also like introspect into Pydantic models. That's really nice. And then let's see, full customization. Fruit base model. Okay. Prompt function. Response model name, response model description. Fruktslista, list of fruits in Swedish. Generate list of fruits. Check to see the result. Okay, that's quite a good thing. And referencing globals. Response model, done their name lower. So how does this work? Does it capture the state of the globals before we call the function? As we call the function, I'm not sure. List fruits, like where does this come from? I'm not sure I understood this one. Contexts. Function context, today, date today. Generate a list, and then we can actually provide a further context. Okay, that's nice. So this is the way to inject like other parameters that are probably not. Okay, so I'd appreciate this being a callable, and then it would generate the context on the fly instead of now when I'm constructing this function, because if I have a server and it's on for more than one day, then this wouldn't work. Multi-turn prompts. System, you generate a list of fruits and season, the date is today. User, I want colored fruits only. Multi-turn prompts. And then how does this... Okay, so this is basically injecting... Okay, so this kind of brings us back to almost having our unstructured prompt, because we are basically templating also not just the system prompt, but also whatever the user asked for, but in a semi-structured way. I'm not sure what's the benefit of this compared to just having a good system prompt, but maybe I can be convinced that this is actually like useful. But let's see what we have here. We have messages. You generate that. Okay, so this is like the system prompt, and then role user, I want blue fruits. Okay, so this is actually being split into the actual prompts. That's quite nice. And then the output. Do we see the actual output here? Functions, object, array, input required, list fruit. So we didn't get that, the actual like message with the output of the list of fruits. That's probably a bug in the docs. Okay, so classification, as we've seen already, fruit entity. Okay, so this is good to know that there are like prompt functions. And then what we have, as we've seen, like the AI function, AI model, and AI classifier. Okay, so by the way, the word AI model here is obviously like terrible, because models are also referring to pedantic models, but also to machine learning models. So you need to be careful about seeing which, like, what in what context the word model is being typed in. And let's see deployment. Ooh, that looks good. Then we have our functions here. And that's quite nice. Okay, so here we can actually like have our own open fast API thing, and we can give it an AI function directly. And person route. What is this? This is a magic thing. This does not exist. Not really. So this one was handwritten especially for giving it to fast API. So if we actually go back to our main file here, not this one, our main file here in Hello Marvin, and we take our thingy here and we say AI model and import that. Then this one here has a route function, probably somewhere. Something needs to have a route function. This does not come out of thin air. So to do state route. What is this? Do we need to install something special for this? This is like not a thing. I'm confused. AI function, AI model, except importing directly from Marvin. Yep. And then we say AI model, and this is a base model, just a pedantic base model, nothing special. And we def route. So yeah, this does not really exist. AI models, route, summarize, route, nothing, nothing, Okay, so this looks like they created something in the docs that doesn't exist, and I was suspicious, not not unduly suspicious. um, Deployment route. Def route. Can we maybe just search all of this? Route. Def. Okay, so no actual like function that's named route directly. And if we say this or this, so here we have like a fast API router, a proper router. And how do they actually route their own thing? So here they have their simple UV server deployment based model. Okay, I haven't bought it that this actually exists. We strongly recommend deploying with Marvin with Fast API. You can deploy the declarative API gateway with a few lines of code. Only thing is that this does not exist, but that's actually like not far from probably just working, because these are functions and you only need to patch this one. Reasonable. Anyhow, like looks good. Now I'm glad that I've actually like looked into this library, and I will probably use it. And I recommend you play with it as well because it looks awesome. So hope you learned some new stuff. I certainly did, and I'll see you on the next video.